Hey guys, welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. This is my instant reaction and recap to Iowa's 10-7 loss inside of Kinnick Stadium to in-state rival Iowa State. The Cyclones captured this year's edition of the Cy-Hawk Trophy game. And wow, I just felt compelled to do another one of these. Last week, in response to Iowa's 7-3 victory over South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, that was my first ever instant reaction and recap vlog episode. Definitely had to do the same thing today in response to this showing, even though in a lot of ways it's going to sound like a broken record. So many similarities to last week's game and this instant reaction episode from that. It's, wow, where to begin? As I always like to do, first of all, I'm going to start off by saying this. Congrats, though, to Iowa State. After a 6-year hiatus, the Cy-Hawk Trophy is finally making its way back to Ames. It basically had taken up residency in Iowa City. I think an official change of address was put through the USPS. And also, too, what I can take away from this game that makes me feel pretty good is both preseason during my 2022 Iowa Hawkeye season preview and prediction show, and just a few days ago during my week 2 picks and predictions segment, I did pick Iowa State to win this game. So it's not a big surprise or shock to me. Because I knew coming into the season what our struggles were going to be, and I just thought this was a perfect opportunity for Iowa State to finally take back the Cy-Hawk Trophy, and it did prove to be true. So I do feel good about that. But being a fan, if you're a fan of our beloved black and gold squads or whatever, as a fan, you always want more. You want victory. So I do feel disappointed. And unlike a lot of Hawkeye fans, I'm sure I've already read a lot of tweets, social media posts. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. I am beyond the point of being concerned, but I am not to the point of anger. Even though during this game I did get angry during one moment, and I'll share that with you here in a little bit. But I am not angry. I don't get angry anymore at these games. Ask my wife, it used to be worse. But now it's just concern and disappointment. So let's start off as I did last week with the good. And wow, I tell you, just the defense and the special teams, they showed out once again. Kind of something we've gotten used to as Iowa fans, and it's great. But the flip side, which we'll get to here shortly, the offense, they basically did what they do too. Something else that we've gotten used to be consistently inconsistent and inept and bankrupt. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But the defense today only allowed 10 points. So through 2 games, the defense has allowed a total of 13 points. And I did check the stats. I didn't want to, but right before I came on air, I did check some stats. And as of now, 2 games into the season, Iowa is the 6th best defense in the nation. Big surprise, which it's not. I did believe this team was going to be elite on defense, even better than last year's. And in a way, they haven't disappointed yet. Yeah, they're not going to get 25 interceptions, but they're playing at a very, very high level, the highest of levels. Okay, so defense kept Iowa in the game. They set them up on several situations for the offense to do what they do. They just couldn't cash in, once again, being bankrupt. Someone's got to float them a very dangerous loan with a very, very high interest rate. So defense, really good. In this game, let me bring up team stats. I believe there were 3 turnovers apiece. Yep. So the defense did cause 3 turnovers. 2 interceptions and a fumble. They did what they do. 3 turnovers you would expect to win the game, but Iowa also coughed up the ball 3 times themselves. So overall, the turnover turnover race, turnover margin, whatever, was a wash. It was a push at zeros. But really, Iowa really forced 5 turnovers because the special teams, again, they do what they do. They blocked not 1, but 2. 2 Iowa State punts, which they ended up then recovering inside the Iowa State red zone. And to me, those are also turnovers. And we've said, and I've said this several times to you guys, that special teams for Iowa, how they operate and how they want to win, their blueprint, that special teams is an extension of the defense. So setting up your offense with those prime scoring opportunities twice, I mean, that's something doing that. I mean, hardly ever are you going to lose a game to an opponent that is near your caliber and talent and skill. And Iowa State, probably via roster, is not better than Iowa. They just were today for a major reason, which just hold on for that. And please like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Am I overreacting? Am I underreacting? Am I full of it? Am I spot on? Am I not? But so really 5 turnovers. And one of those, the Iowa offense did score their first touchdown of the season. A very short 2-play drive, back-to-back rushing attempts. They found the end zone. So Iowa's up 7-0 very early in the first quarter after that blocked punt. So they were able to cash in on one of those. The other blocked punt, they did not, unfortunately. So defense, well done. You do what you do. One thing that I was a little bit surprised of about the defense, I believe they only recorded 1 sack on the day. Let me just, I want to make sure. Yep, 1 sack, which I thought they would have maybe gotten the backfield a little bit more. But the bend, don't break scheme that Iowa does implement, it did work out. It corralled Iowa State for the most part. Also, to Iowa State, they've kind of figured out how to best beat that. I mean, they really have a lot of precision, timing routes, 1-2 seconds release. So they do, their quarterbacks against Iowa within the last decade do get that ball out very quick to kind of just neutralize any potential tackle for a loss or sack. Now, one thing I'm going to say about the defense, all right, and then I'm going to move on. I think some people, I haven't seen it yet, but if anybody out there is going to criticize the defense and say, when we needed them, they let us down, I'm referring to the 99-yard scoring drive that Iowa State put together, third into the fourth quarter, which ended up being the deciding game winner as far as their touchdown, their only touchdown of the day. A 99-yard scoring drive. It bled most of the clock. Remnants of the 2015 Big Ten title game where Michigan State did that 99-yard drive, basically then gave Iowa the loss and kept Iowa not just from a Big Ten title, but from the college football playoff. That's ludicrous. If anybody is going to say that where was the defense when we needed them, they let us down, you just need to shut your mouths, okay? Because we can't expect that drive after drive, game after game. We can't, okay? And giving up 1 touchdown to a fellow Power 5 opponent in your home stadium, you can't ask for much more than that. Okay, so hopefully nobody goes there, says anything about the defense, let us down, blah, 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 because that's just ludicrous. You know, like Mike Tyson would say, this is ludicrous. Okay, it just is. Okay, so I don't want to hear or see any of that. Hopefully it doesn't come. So defense, good job. Special teams, I already said. 2 forced punts, or block punts, I should say, deep in Iowa State territory. I mean, what else can you ask for that? And Tory Taylor, I mean, the legacy of the punta down under continues. Right now, he absolutely is Iowa's best player. He is. Ultimately, I think Jack Campbell, Riley Moss can be. They're having good seasons already, 2 games into it. Don't forget, we're still, still very young in the season. Sam Laporta could be their best player, but playing for the Iowa offense, he's not able to showcase his talent or bump up his stock. He's not, unfortunately. So just the classic victim of wrong place at the wrong time, or in this case, wrong team, wrong unit. So, but he is their best player. I mean, and that's total Iowa right there. What summarizes Iowa football more than saying 2 games into the season the punter is the best player on the team? And he is. Today, Tory Taylor, 6 punts total, 2 touchbacks, 2 inside the 20, a long of 63 yards. I mean, come on, with an average of just about 51 yards a punt. I mean, it's insane. He continues to do what he does. He is a one-man flipper of the field. I mean, not quite Reggie Hangtime Roby-like in Iowa lore, but he's getting there. I mean, his legacy is growing. I mean, if it was up to me for Heisman Trophy, for just special teams or defensive players, he would be leading. He just is. He's had that much effect on one team more than anybody with special teams or defense in the nation. I don't care. I'm hard-pressed to see. If somebody else wants to make a argument or suggestion about somebody else, please feel free to comment. But he would be leading the Heisman race if it was just for special teams and defense. No doubt about it. Wow. Okay. So let's get to the main concern. And just like last week, just like most of last season, the Iowa offense, the offensive Iowa offense, the ineptitude, they've been non-existent. And when I say that, folks, think about this. They've scored now a total of 14 points, okay? 14 points in 2 games. But really, the offense has not scored any points. I'm talking Dean Wormer, 0.0. Think about it. They scored, yes, they did put the ball in the end zone earlier today. But after that blocked punt, I mean, 2 rushing yards, the special teams set them up. So is that offensive production? It is, but it's not to me. And then last week, week 1, we all know what happened, a field goal and 2 safeties. So really, the Iowa offense doesn't exist right now. When you look at true stats, when you watch a game, don't look at stat sheets because that's already UGLY, ugly. You ain't got no alibi. It's ugly enough to see the stats. But when you watch it, it's even worse. So their offense is non-existent. Today, total yards, wow, 150 total yards of offense. I mean, that is just, wow. That's just bad. I mean, that's worse than last week's output. 150 total yards. I want to make sure I just have that right, because that just seems correct, but I can't, yeah. Wow, 150 total yards. Just awful. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Just awful. Passing yards, Spencer Petras, 12 of 26. Let's start off with that. His completion percentage. Through 2 games now, he is completing 45% of his passes. And earlier today, 12 of 26 for 92 yards, even less than last week's issues. Yards per attempt, even worse, 3.4 yards per passing attempt. I mean, that's bad enough. I mean, that number is awful. But I look at their rushing yards, and rushing yards overall, 58 yards rushing, 92 yards through the air. So 58 yards rushing. And I'm going to echo this once again, just like I did during last week's instant reaction episode. Nothing is going to get fixed offensively until the offensive line and the rushing game get some sort of hold. They need to start at least moving the chains, finding some traction. If that does not take hold, it doesn't matter who is in the backfield at quarterback for Iowa. It does not matter. This game, 58 yards rushing on 25 attempts, good for 2.3 yards per rush. So that is up from the 1.6 yards per rush last week. But you need to be at 3.5 at least. 3.5 to 4 yards per rushing attempt you need to be, or this is going to be a long season. And overall, the O-line, to where I'm going to say it again, whether you want to point the finger at quarterback play, which yes, that's a big finger to point, it starts with the O-line. The offensive line did do a little bit better today. Spencer Petras was not running for his life continuously, but once again, not a little bit better as far as throwing windows, throwing lanes. There was just a lot more inaccuracy today for Spencer Petras compared to last week. But the rushing numbers, the O-line has got to do better. Winning the line of a scrimmage, the point of attack, opening up some holes. They have to do better, or this is what we're going to see the rest of the season. And one thing, too, I want to talk about the offense, too, with rushing. It seemed like to me, maybe you guys watching, too, in the second half, I get it. The Iowa offense wasn't on the field a lot, especially after that long drive by Iowa State. But once again, Iowa just completely abandoned the run game. It was non-existent midway through the third into the fourth quarter. It wasn't there. You had plenty of time, all right? Now, I get it after that fumble by Monty Pottebaum from what I believe was 2nd and goal from the 2, maybe even 1st and goal. That fumble inside the 1-2 yard line, that was ultimately the decider. I think if Iowa gets the ball in the end zone there, they're going to end up winning the game. They're going to hold on. But then again, it comes down to this, and I'm going to go to play calling, and we all know who's in charge of that. Coach Kirk Ferentz's son, Brian Ferentz, really embattled coordinator last year. He still has that title, but now has been promoted to quarterbacks coach. The play calling, that falls on him. Abandoning the running game. And if it's 1st or 2nd and goal from the 2, I can't forget which one. I forget which down it was when Monty Pottebaum did turn over the ball. But if you need to do a fullback dive to get in the end zone, that's a problem. If that's what your offense is basically reduced to, if that's the best option you have to get it in the end zone, then that needs to be questioned itself. Okay? So play calling, I disagree with a lot of it. That needs to be handled, and there needs to be a tough conversation between father and son. And I know how that is because I have tough conversations right now with my 10-year-old son between Coach Kirk Ferentz and his son, Brian Ferentz, the OC. Now let's get to quarterback play. Wow. I already shared with you the numbers. 45% completions through 2 games, 92 yards passing this game, 106 last week. And once again, I did check the numbers before coming online here. I didn't want to, but I did. As of now, hey, congratulations, Iowa fans. Your team is the worst offense in Division I football. 131st out of 131. So I guess, hey, anything we're doing is worth doing right. And the positive you can say about this is it can only get better. And last week during this instant reaction episode from week 1, I said it could only get better. Well, I was wrong. So now it can't get any worse at least. So it's got to get better. So congratulations. Worst offense in the nation. And the sad thing, or it's really concerning, is we haven't played to upper level, upper echelon teams. I mean, solid teams, absolutely. But we haven't played national title contenders the last 2 weeks. And the worst offense in the nation officially. Congratulations. Spencer Petras continues to struggle. I mean, and I definitely think the guy is a good leader. He's a gamer. He's a competitor. You can tell that. I don't know the man personally, so I can't sit here and I won't slander anyone's character. He's still a young man, an amateur athlete, even though some are collecting amateur athletes. But once again, my brother Anthony absolutely said it beautifully. You can't teach accuracy. And we saw a lot more errant throws today compared to last week's game. And we saw plenty of them last year when Petras was out there on the field. I mean, you can teach fundamentals, you can teach footwork, you can teach somebody a system, you can give them a playbook, but you cannot teach accuracy. You can't. And so many of the throws, the majority of them, are high and outside, which, hey, that's not bad placement. If you're a pitcher and you're up 0-2 on a batter, yeah, waste a pitch, that's fine. But not when you're a quarterback. and you're a third-year starter, and if anything, you have regressed. There's no doubt about it. Now, in Petrus's defense, still, Iowa was down to, I believe, this week compared to one last week, two scholarship wide receivers without their best wide receivers in Keegan Johnson and Nico Reganey. They were out for this game again, so Petrus was down a lot of weapons. But would that really matter? We're talking about wide receivers. Talk about practice, man. Talking about wide receivers for Iowa. It probably wouldn't make a difference, but I'll give him that. Two of his best weapons are out. Their starting running back, Gavin Williams, was back this week. But just continuously airmailing passes, high and outside. I mean, just consistently. But I will say this too, and I watched this game very closely, and it doesn't matter. I mean, whoever was out there on the receiving end, whether it's even Sam Laporta, who is Iowa's best offensive player, but once I already said he doesn't really have a chance to showcase that there's no separation. It doesn't matter how good or bad your quarterback is. If your receivers, if they cannot get any separation, it's going to be even more difficult on an offense that's already challenged. There is no room. There is no separation. I mean, receivers and the tight ends for Iowa are absolutely getting draped by coverage. I'm telling you. I mean, it's like in Hoosiers, well, hey, what flavor of gum did he have? And he tells it. I mean, there is no separation. And it makes me ask, maybe this offense, and this is going to sound even worse and make it look even worse, the situation we're in, is maybe this offense is too complicated for the personnel that we have. And we heard all summer about Iowa's going to have new route trees. Well, they look like the same trees, more or less weeds for the most part. But, yeah, there's no separation with receivers. Petrus is still all over the radar. I mean, he's like Bull Durham, hit the bull, okay? You're hitting every other damn thing, like in Days of Thunder, too. Hit the pace car. He's just not accurate. And I'm concerned now for Alex Padilla and Joey Labus. If they have not gotten on the field yet after what we've seen after 2 weeks, they may never get on the field. And that makes me then ask the question to you, the Black and Gold family, is maybe we don't have any other option. If this is the best we have, if Spencer Petras gives us the best chance to win, we need to do one of two things then. We say, okay, either we accept it and we rally around and we support him through hell or high water, or we say, you know what, let's put another quarterback in there, and if they struggle, well, hey, at least we can say we're building for the future. Because it's apparent to me that Coach Kirk Ferentz and his staff, they're not ready to make a change. And I absolutely expect Spencer Petras to be the starting quarterback next week against Nevada, who I think will be the worst team that we've played to this point. They will be. And more on that here shortly. But maybe in practice, he just doesn't perform. We don't see how they look in practice. Okay, once again, talk about practice, man. So maybe Alex Padilla or Joey Labus just doesn't have it. I mean, that's an option. People right now are all on Coach Ferentz for not making the change. I'm not one of those yet, because maybe this is our best option. And if that's the case, then we need to ask ourselves, why? Can we not develop somebody to be better than what we have? Can we not recruit better? Can we not bring in somebody via the transfer portal? That's the real question that needs to be asked. And why is your son the quarterback coach, a former lineman? Doesn't make any sense. So maybe this is what we have. I mean, maybe this is just what we're going to have to roll with. But once again, I don't expect a quarterback change. I'll actually be very, very surprised if I see that on the depth chart this week. But, yeah, we have to support whoever's back there. We just do. As fans, it's tough to stomach, but this might be the best it is. And moving forward, if this is what we're looking at, it's going to be a challenge to get to 6 wins. I'm just telling you guys right now. I'm not being I'm not being Mr. Down and Out, Mr. Trivial. I'm just speaking the truth. It's going to be tough to get to 6 wins. So moving forward, next week we'll see what our boys can do against the Nevada. The Wolfpack come calling to Kinnick Stadium. It's a 6:30 kickoff next week. It's nice to have a night game to watch. I do not plan on doing one of these next weekend. Probably going to be a little busier with the family, unless something miraculous happens. Okay, if Iowa, let's say, puts up a 50 burger on offense, or they lose, or if even Alex Padilla is the starting quarterback, then I might do something. But I don't plan on it next week. But yeah, and we have one more chance to get right. I mean, before Big Ten season will be upon us very shortly. In 2 weeks, we travel to Rutgers, a team that has looked way better than us. I mean, they have. I don't even know if that's a win right now. We'll have to wait and see. But Nevada is the worst of the three non-conference opponents we're going to play. I've watched them. I watched them week 0. I mean, they won very ugly over New Mexico State. And just a little bit ago, I saw that they lost at home to FCS program Incarnate Word. Word up. So they have one more chance to do something to hang their hat on offensively. I know what the defense and special teams are going to do. That's fine. They're going to show up and show out. But whether they have a 100-yard rusher for Iowa, Spencer Petras can complete 65% of his passes. You know, we have a couple touchdown passes. Something has to happen positive for this program moving into Big Ten season. It does. We have one more chance to get right. Or if not, wow, it's going to be a challenge. Now, the one thing I wanted to say, I almost forgot. The only time during this game that I really got angry, that I had to raise my voice or was really questioning and scratching my head, didn't really deal with Iowa. It dealt with Iowa State and Coach Matt Campbell's decision-making late. I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of seeing these coaching gaffes. I mean, there's been so much lately. And also, I'm tired of seeing kickers miss extra points. What is that lately? What the hell is this? We're plagued by this. But, you know, coaches down the stretch these first 2 weeks and into last season, they don't understand anything about game, clock, and situational management. They know nothing. It's like Sergeant Schultz. They know nothing. I don't know what's going on with coaches. But I'm referring to the potential knockout blow that Coach Matt Campbell and Iowa State could have leveled on our Hawkeyes. There, when it's fourth and 4, I believe it was, with a minute to go or whatever, maybe 53 seconds. 4th and 4, I believe, from the 35-yard line of Iowa. And I understand there. Maybe thinking we're not going to kick a field goal because it did start raining. We have a young kicker, sending him out there for a 45, 48-yard field goal. I understand that. But if you're going to go for it, like they did, and if you tell yourself, if we're going to roll the dice and go for the knockout blow right now, we're not going to give Iowa a chance. Let's just go for it. And hey, if we don't convert, it's okay. If that's the risk, kick your field goal. You're up 3 points at that point. Let's say you make it through. You've seen how inept the Iowa offense has been all day. And I get maybe that's why Coach Matt Campbell did that, thinking, hey, if we don't convert, we got to make them basically march most of the field, 40, 50 yards for a good field goal. Hey, we'll see what they can do. Or I guess at that point it'd be 40 yards for a good attempt. So I understand that thing. Yeah, let's see if they can do this with no timeouts left. But if you kick your field goal and convert that, you'll kick it deep to Iowa with about 45 seconds left, give or take, and they're not going to march the entire field for a touchdown to beat you. And Iowa did have a chance. Late, they did have that long field goal attempt, which would have sent it into overtime. And I told my wife when this happened, if Iowa ended up forcing overtime, and if they would have come back and stunned Iowa State based on Matt Campbell's decision to go for it rather than kick a field goal, he should have been fired on the spot. That was awful coaching. I am not going to let you off the hook. And I've already congratulated Iowa State. It's not a little gut punch to them being a rival. It's just true. If that was Coach Kirk Ferentz, I would have started off this episode with that. Okay? You cannot do that to your players. If Iowa would have forced overtime and won, you should have been fired at the spot, on the spot, for going for that on 4th and 4 rather than kicking a field goal. Or if you're that concerned, do a little pooch punt. So what if you pick up 10 or 15 yards? It's fine. But don't go for it there. That's awful coaching, but hey, it worked out for him, so congratulations. You're a fortune teller. I'm not. So just bad coaching continues and just awful kicking. That's all I've seen through the first 2 weeks. But anyway, look for my week 2 review and recap episode, probably coming your way Tuesday afternoon, early Tuesday evening. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. We're 1-1 on the season now as Iowa. And I don't know where the offense goes from here, but once again, I do know this. I thank you for your time, your support, everything. Thank you for being here with me. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. And until next week, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Adios. Thanks for joining me on this special episode of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. See ya.